William Bates is the grandfather of vision training. William Bates is an ophthalmologist that lived in New York around the turn of the century. He cured himself for presbyopia, which is needing reading glasses. And then he developed a system for natural vision recovery or training. And what we are going to do the next 2 days is based on that, in the scientific principles in that. But I have added more stuff to it because one of my criteria for success is that we have some sort of a feedback, positive feedback in 20 minutes or less. Nothing to do with optometry. Okay, it has nothing to do with ophthalmology. It is vision training. It is training as you do push-ups or jogging or whatever. So that's very important. There's no lenses, no diagnosis, no surgery. Okay, no drugs. During the workshop, you probably would be able to improve maybe 1 or 2 or even 3 diopters, depending on whatever your system is, how stubborn your vision problem is. There are sometimes people who would improve very rapidly, as short as 10 minutes. Right? And there are, of course, people that takes a long time. Depending of your vision status, if you have -10 or more, then of course the road that you have to travel is so much longer. If you have something like maybe 2, 3 diopters, that in the workshop I could help maybe 50% or 60% if I was really optimistic, and then the rest we would have to do one-to-one sessions. So, but I found out that when I actually started doing the workshop, that it doesn't seem to be necessary. So very few, we are talking about maybe 98% of the people in a workshop will have benefits. So after leaving this workshop, you would know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you have influence over your eyesight. What you do with it is up to you. It's a matter of putting an effort in. The more effort you put in, the more effect you would have. And you have a 75-page manual with lots of exercise, lots of stuff in, more than we will cover in the 2 days. I can't talk so fast. Okay, one of the things that we will concentrate on, or the things we will concentrate on, is primarily myopia, near sight. Presbyopia, we will deal with that as well, more tomorrow than today. We will talk about astigmatism. Those are the 3 major problems. One of the things that really set me thinking when I started studying these kinds of things was, in Chicago, I think it was 1983, there was a psychiatrist who was at the time working with people who had multiple personality. They stepped in from one to another. And they have various kinds of visual problems. So he took them to an optometrist. See, because the general view is that when you have myopia, that's because your eyeballs are long. Okay? And this is something that's inherited, and it's all the fault of your parents. Right? So that's the way it is. So this gentleman was put into the examination chair, and the optometrist or ophthalmologist was looking into his eye and said, yeah, this guy, he has long eyeballs, he needs this correction. So the psychiatrist, he changed his personality. So, my God, now he's farsighted. His eyeballs are short. Right. In a third personality, he had glaucoma, pressure in the eyes, and was colorblind. Right. So that set me thinking. It's not a hardware problem. It's a software problem, right? Okay, so we have some exquisite tools that can deal with that, right? So hence the vision, the mind side, right? Actually, multiple personality people, vision problems or vision changes is a small thing in their book. Some people have in one personality, they have diabetes and need insulin, otherwise they die. Others, they have allergies, skin allergies that comes out and so forth. So when they move into that personality, then it comes out. When they move away, then it goes away. So that is a very dramatic example of how the mind controls the body, the mind-body connection. And it totally blows out this idea that it's inherited and it's in the genes. There's nothing we can do about it. There's another study done by Francis Young. I will get back to you. By Francis Young, a very prominent optometrist. He, in the 60s, he went to Alaska to study something like, I think, 250 children, Eskimo children. And they had, 45% of them had myopia. But the interesting thing was that the parents, living the traditional Eskimo lifestyle, Virtually none of them had any vision problems at all. Right? An Eskimo can see the nose of a seal on a snowfield, you know. So that set him thinking too. So now he is what is called a behavioral optometrist, which is one of the friendlier optometrists who believe in certain amount of training. Yeah.
Myopia is
nearsight, yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm using some of those terms, but I will try to. Presbyopia or hyperopia. If you are less than 40, it's hyperopia. If you are more than 40, this is because you have too many birthdays. And it's called presbyopia.
And presbyopia, you can't see up close.
You need reading glasses, yeah. The traditional thinking there is that when you're 35 years old, then the lens inside... See, this whole idea about focusing comes from Helmholtz, which is a German scientist that lived in the late 18th century. He wrote a really great paper on vision, and this is the fundamental theories that still is in use today. And he said that the ciliary muscle and the lens is the only thing that does the focusing. Okay? So actually, what's happening, the cornea, the clear part of the eye, does 80% of the focusing. So the lens and other parts is only 20% of the focusing. All right. So, but according to that theory, and that's what the optometrist and what the ophthalmologist is learning, is that the ciliary muscle, there's a ciliary body here, and there's little sonoles, little wires that goes into the lens. The lens is floating free inside the eye. Right. So it's only connected with these little wires. So these little wires, if you have nearsight, those little wires are tense, so that your lens is stretched out. You store tension inside here. Some of you, when we start doing exercises, might actually feel that you can feel inside the eye. Right. So to see far, they need to be relaxed so the lens fattens out. Right. So maybe we can store tension in our neck muscles or back muscles or anywhere, even the eyes. Okay? So that's the traditional theory. So what they're saying is far sight. That's when your eyeball, the normal eyeball is about 24 millimeters in diameter. It's a little bit like a golf ball. Okay. Now, if you have far sight, that means that the eyeball is, or near sight, that means that the eyeball is elongated to between 24 and 29 millimeters. So that's a very little, this is about this far difference. Right. When you're far-sighted, that means that your eyeball is less than 20 millimeters. So 3-4 millimeters is the difference. So it's not sort of like, you know, like a hard-boiled egg, you sort of squash it out. Let's talk a little bit more about the way that the eye functions. Okay. The ciliary body is the body that produces the fluid that's inside here. This part of the eye here, there is a fluid that is changed every 4 hours. It constantly develops and it goes through what's called the channel of Slem. If that channel is blocked, then you would have glaucoma because the pressure builds up. Right. So that's constantly nutrient. The cornea is there also has no blood vessels to it. So the cornea is nourished by blinking. So if you're not blinking, that means that our corneas get in trouble because they are nourished by the tears. So that's one of the problems that we sometimes have. Vision, I am right now in your eyes, I'm upside down, and you're upside down in my eyes. Right, just like this. Okay, so what's happening here is that the image is coming in here. The clear point, we have a central point here, which is 1.5 millimeter times 1 millimeter. That's the only point in your retina that has absolute clear vision. It goes out the fovea, and the whole retina is less and less the peripheral vision. So the difference on the eye chart, for instance, if you can see the 20/20 line here, your foveal vision would be something like that. That's the maximum that we are humanly capable of. The peripheral vision is very good at determining movement. So hunters, for instance, will sort of just let their eyes scan around, and then they will pick up movement, and then they will look. Like, for instance, when the Spanish came to this country in, 1500 or something, they were amazed that the Native Americans were able to spot, way out on the horizon. They could see who it was that arrived. And the Spanish were looking, and they didn't see a thing. 5 minutes later, they saw again, oh, there's a spot out there. But the Native Americans, they could see, oh, this is two feathers, right? So one of the reasons what they did that, they used the hunter's eyes. Right? The hunter's eyes is just that you're just looking out, you're sort of focusing outside. Airline pilots do the same, or fighter pilots do the same thing. Just letting their eyes sort of scan out, and then just let your eyes find something, find a detail, something that's different. So a hunter would say he's looking for the things that's not there. Right? So he can maybe see there's an ear of a deer, or that's a different color than the leaves. And then he looks. Some of the things that are important, there are 4 principles in this workshop that enables you to change your eyesight. One is the belief that it's possible, and maybe possible emotional imprints that might be associated with that. And this is usually innocent things. Right. Second thing, muscles. When you wear lenses, if you've been wearing them for... How many have worn lenses here for more than 20 years? Wow. Good. So if you are putting your left hand in a sling, kept it there for 20 years, what would happen if you take it out? Right? It will, the muscles would be there, but they have forgotten what to do. What does he want us to do? Right. So the muscles need to be retrained. So if your visual range before was this, when you put lenses on, then your visual system doesn't need to move more than that. So you're basically training. What happens when you are limiting your movement? Right. You become more difficult to move beyond that. So if you're sort of limiting yourself to just move to this, then stretching your arm out becomes difficult. So that's in essence what's happening in the visual system as well. So we need to overcome that. We need to retrain that. So that's the second part. The third part, particularly for those of you who have myopia, energetically, you are consuming more energy in your eyes. Your visual system is consuming more energy than is available. So it's like your eyes is running on a low-carb battery. The light comes on, and the car has trouble starting, and So what we need to do is we need to and I'll teach you this afternoon, a way of removing the stagnant energy and put new energy in. Last thing is relaxation. Because clear vision is very simple. It's just relax and open up, and you get clear vision. Perfect vision is effortless. So you will say, well, this is very easy, but how do I do this? Right. Okay. Another thing that's important to realize is that vision is 90% in the mind. Actually, this is conservative more. What's happening is, and there is, I think on page 8 in your manual, there's a diagram that shows that. The left side and the right side of the image in each eye goes to the opposite side of the brain. So it sort of crosses in the middle of the brain, and then it's recombined here at the back of the visual cortex into a 3D image. So this all happens, what's happening, the lens is focusing the image on the retina. The retina changes it into nerve energy, which is sending all this energy into the brain, and the brain then combines that, and then we see a movie, or whatever, a smile. So all this is happening in the mind, and that's one of the reasons why it's possible to change that. That's what we will be working on. As I said before, clear natural vision is the natural state. We are born with that. In most cases, there is very few people who are not. Sight is a learned thing. Children are not born with the ability to see clearly. So it takes a couple of weeks before you see certain animals, like kittens, for instance. There are some studies done. If they keep them in environments where there's stripes, vertical stripes, then they can't see horizontal lines. If they keep them in all horizontal lines, then they bump into table legs and chair legs, because their vision is formed. Vision reflects belief imprints and emotional issues. This is something that we all know a lot about and know what to do with. In my experience, I thought initially, as I said earlier, that it was really very fundamental, but it seemed to be something that we can deal with in a sort of more general way in most cases. The visual field, your visual field, is a reflection of your overall energetic, emotional, and physical well-being. Even if you are an 18-year-old, have perfect eyesight, if you are stressing yourself, if you're studying, until the wee hours in the morning, what happens? Your eyes begin to let you know that you are tired. But you're overruling it, saying, no, I don't have time. I need to do this. I need to pass this exam tomorrow. I must read this, Right. So you can do that to a certain extent. If you, in your mind, sort of just make a very fast survey of how much time have you spent of your lifetime at this distance, at reading distance, how much of your day is spent at that distance. A lot of people in desk work, so a lot. So we are not really using. So if you're spending 60% of your time focusing on this distance, that means that the far distance focusing is being used a lot less. So in order to restore natural vision, we need to get a balance between the two. So if you're working, then look out, frequently. That's one of the keys. This is in front of your eyes. Okay. The lenses freezes your visual system. Your eyes are adjusting themselves to the lenses. Okay. If you are nearsighted, your lenses is adjusting your far sight. If you use your glasses for reading, you are actually aggravating the near sight. So you have this common experience that you begin to wear glasses, and every year you need stronger and stronger prescription. Okay? I have several quotes from prominent optometrists that says that. So it's not something that I'm making up. It's not something that optometrists usually would be talking about. There are some ophthalmologists that will say to you, okay, I will prescribe you with glasses, but promise me only to wear them when you absolutely have to. Because there is this addiction, there's this, you're training your eyes to become more and more. So that's one of the keys. Not wear the glasses. Only wear them when you absolutely have to, like driving or whatever. Born in 1860, died in 1931. He spent 4 years studying specifically to try to prove this idea that the ciliary muscles is the only one that does the focusing, and he could not do that. The ciliary muscle, the muscle inside the lens, is that do the focusing. Right. That's the official view. So he tried to prove that, but could not. So he came to the conclusion that the muscles around the eye, you have a muscle on top. So this is the eye here. Okay, so we have a muscle on top, underneath, on each side, and there's a muscle that goes basically sort of around. There's one that goes up in the corner here, and there's another one. So we have 6 muscles in each eye. He said that those muscles are involved in focusing. So that actually squeezes the eyeball slightly to adjust the focusing. And that's the key to vision training. Okay. He says that the reason that we have vision problem, near sight, far sight, is because we store tension. It's strain. Near sight is straining to see far. Far sight is straining to see near. So when we take the strain out, we get eyesight back. Is some of the strongest muscles in the body. Right? Because the video camera, for instance, cannot do what those muscles they can't. Right? You can focus on the near, you can focus on the far just in one instant. You can focus on any distance in between. You can glide, zoom very slowly, and stop, move back and forth. Right? So this is really quite a marvelous, it's really fantastic ability that we have. So with all muscles, we can store tension in them, including the eye muscles. If the recti muscles are tense, then they pull the eyeball back and it becomes too short. We get farsighted. Astigmatism is when you store tension in one or several of them. Astigmatism is when the cornea is pulled out of shape. So a perfect cornea should be round. Again, looking at the front, so this is the cornea. So if somebody has muscle, we will try that out in a moment, that pulls here, then it becomes oval. Right? If these muscles here are pulling, tense. Right? But it can also be the other way. So you have different planes. So astigmatism, they become wavy.
Are these still the same two obliques?
Recti. Astigmatism can be the obliques and the recti. The recti, these are the recti muscles here. If they pull back, all of them more or less in equal tension, then the eyeball becomes squeezed, and then you get farsight. So the key, the initial key to getting vision moving is those muscles. Okay, let's begin to work with those muscles a little bit. Okay, what I would like you to do is to just take your thumb and put it about the width of one hand from your nose. That's just an estimate. Your hand will tend to go traveling. So, without glasses. Yeah. So what I want you to do also is to include the breathing. Okay, so when we go up, we will inhale. No. Let the thumb go up as far up as you possibly can. And then you let it go down and exhale as slowly as you possibly can. Okay? Just let it follow with your eyes. All right, so you get back to the center first. Okay, the next one is you go up, again inhale, up to 1 o'clock. Let the hand go as far out as you can. Right. Okay, back in. Okay. And then to 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. So try to keep the hand, just one hand, the width of one hand from your nose. It tends to go traveling out in space. Okay, so down to 5. Okay. Back up so you can see your cheeks there. And then straight down.
Inhale while going down.
Yes. And exhale as you go up. And now to 7. Okay, back up. And to 9. Okay. And up to 11. And back down. Okay. So did you find that certain angles were more difficult than others? Yeah. Okay, that's where you store attention. Which angles were? This one for you? Yeah. Only one? What about the other one? That diagonal? A little bit, but this one there was hard. Yeah. Okay. Because we are asking the muscle to one muscle to contract very much, and the other one to stretch to follow suit. So this is the beginning. This one is good for all kind of vision problems, but also for astigmatism, because it begins to loosen up that muscle there. Okay. The first question is, what is your vision right now? So if you have near sight, just write near sight. If you know the correction that you have, then write that down. If you have astigmatism or whatever. Okay, so the next question is, what do you think caused that? So what are some of the things that you think about? Some people say it's in the genes. When you grow older? Mm-hmm. Ah, sure. There's actually scientific evidence that proves that. That when you grow older, your eyesight deteriorates. Unfortunately, it's not really true. So what are some of the things that you wrote down as the cause? Edna, what do you think caused your vision problem?
Oh, I put down family tradition.
Family, it's in the family, yeah.
Well, not in the genes, I don't think. It's a family tradition that my mother wore glasses, and so
Yeah.
therefore I wore glasses.
Mm-hmm,
That's a tradition.
Yeah. So that you copied, her visual habits. Yeah, that's often these things are sort of innocent decisions that are made. At the time, of course, they were perfectly, valid, but then they sort of keep slushing around and still affect us. So it has a lot to do with the way that we perceive the world, right? Our interface to the world. Right? Yeah.
My initial problem was in the mid-40s when I began having blind spots in my field of vision along the floaters.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor said I had macular degeneration, gave me extensive cortisone treatment.
Yeah.
And later I remembered that just before then I had been working in the open, and there was an eclipse of the sun, and I was watching without any aids, and I wondered if that caused it. Later I had a physician who simply said, Mr. Clay, as we grow older, it happens to all of us, and I really think you're more senior than I am.
And we didn't ever go back to him.
No, I can understand that. This gives me an opportunity to talk about a miracle that happened last year. A friend of mine in Hong Kong, her father is 80 or was 80 years old at that time. He had macular degeneration, which is, in his case, the central part of the vision is just a black spot. So if I'm looking at your face, I could only see your hair. The rest of it was black. Right. So he had gone to Mia Snyder in San Francisco and taken his workshop, and he was doing palming for something like 4 hours a day, and he didn't see any improvement very much. So since I was going to be in California, then she asked me, would you be willing to just take a trip to Reno? You can stay in his house. He's a great cook, which is true, and just sort of cheer him up. So I did that, and they invited me for lunch in one of those glitzy places, and at the evening in his house we had a glass of white wine. A very interesting gentleman. He was an aide-de-camp to President Truman. He had been into chemical warfare thing in World War War II, sorry, and also in the Korean War. Not that old. So very interesting gentleman to talk to. And I did the same exercise with him that we're doing now. And so we went to bed, and in the morning he woke up 5:45 with light in his eyes. Right. Now I hadn't started doing anything, okay, really. He woke up with light in his eyes, which was a surprise to him because his ophthalmologist had said there's not enough light coming into your eyes, that's why you have a vision problem. So he was very surprised. So he got out of bed and opened the drapes, and his window faces out to a golf course. And for the first time, he could see the houses on the other side of the golf course. And he said that one of the black spot was sort of grayish, and the other one was pitted. And he could, for the first time, recognize his neighbor going to work, passing outside. So when I sort of surfaced at 9 o'clock for breakfast, he was sitting there in his dressing gown. He says, before we do anything, I need to tell you something. I don't know if I'm making it up, but I don't think so. But what do you think? So he told me the story. So during that day, the next couple of hours, we were able to totally erase the black spots. And this is a year ago, and they haven't come back. Beautiful things happened. He was making lemongrass tea, and outside on the terrace was sort of like a step and a half down. So normally he would sort of hold the door and then try to go out, but he just went out. Then he stopped. Well, I can't do this. And then in the afternoon he went to pick up his mail. He forgot his glasses. For the first time in 72 years. The next day he cooked the chicken, cut the chicken without cutting his fingers, without his glasses. The only time he used the glasses was to set the dial on the oven. What happened, the most significant things that happened was that his vision improved so that he was able to be aware of the ground. See, one of the problems is that the visual field collapses so that you don't know where your feet are. So he said that he could see the pebbles. So that gives him stability in movement. And also his daughter told me that he's a very good cook, so he was transferring some recipes. And the ingredients were written in bold characters, which he could read. Then he continued to read the regular print, which he's not supposed to be able to read. Right. So I don't know exactly what happened. I have some ideas. So since you all know about NLP and health and stuff like that, I think that what happened to him was that he went, it's just one morning he woke up, there was these 2 black spots in his eyes. He went to an ophthalmologist, a young man, not quite sure what he was doing. He said, well, I think it's macular degeneration, but let's have another doctor look at it. So the other doctor came and he looked. So yeah, it is macular degeneration. There's nothing we can do about it. Just, learn to see through the sides of your eyes and so forth. He went to a third one. Said, yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. So that actually is installing a belief, right? So I think that one of the things I said to him, what happens when you cut a finger? Macular degeneration is because there's bleeding. The blood vessels behind the retina bleeds. and then the retina. The retina actually is not detached very securely. It's very easy to get off. So what happens when you cut a finger? It bleeds and it heals. Maybe there's a scar, maybe not. So I think this happens in your eyes too. So, but vision is 90% in the mind. Right? So the mind has this image, this black spot that simply is provided, software. See? All right, so the next question is, suppose a miracle happened tonight in your sleep, and your eyes were restored to perfect vision. How would you know when you wake up tomorrow? What would be the first thing that would let you know that you have perfect eyesight? Would it be the ceiling, the watch, or what? How would your day be different? What would your relationship with other people be? Would there be a difference in it? The way that you respond to other people and they in turn respond to you? Would you be willing to share some of yes? If you can't see how it would be different, how would it be like if you could? Or relationship between you and other people? Maybe they won't.
I mean, I
What?
can see how the world would change as far as looking at that pot of flowers.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the relationship.
That might not be. Maybe there would not be a big difference. For some people, they feel that there is. They feel. You'll find out. Okay.
Well, like for me, if I can't read the small print, sometimes I'd have to ask my secretary to read it, or
Yes.
if I didn't have my reading glasses, or my daughter, I'd say, you're younger. Not correct terminology, I realize. You're younger, you can read this
Yes.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I was going to say, when I open my eyes in the morning, I'd be able to see the leaves and the trees outside. My first thought would be, I left my contacts in by mistake. That was my first thought.
Yes,
But,
yeah.
but secondly, nothing would change in my life except I just wouldn't have to put my contacts in or buy solutions.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
would change.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing has changed. One of your eyes is bigger than the other. Yes.
I didn't realize that there was tension around this for myself until I was doing this writing. Like, I do more of these.
Yes. Yes.
That was interesting because I did not realize that until.
That you touched the key to this whole thing. Yeah. Yeah. Susie?
Well, I just realized, too, that I would feel more centered since I started wearing the glasses. I don't feel...
Yeah. Yeah. Because for you, if it...
when I put them on in the morning, it's like, oh, whoa,
Yeah.
and it kind of throws me out of balance.
Yeah. Very important. The last question is, and you need to listen to that carefully now. So, having had perfect eyesight for the last 5-10 years, where would you be in life? Having had perfect eyesight for the last 5-10 years, where would you be in life? Or how would your life be? What you to do is to just look at the eye chart, look at anything, and just sort of get an idea of what you can see. Okay, so I'm going to introduce an exercise in relaxing the eyes because vision problems is, as I've said before, directly related to storing tension or strain of the visual system. So this is an exercise that William Bates developed, the palming exercise. So, yes?
This tension, how does it start?
The tension?
Yeah.
By trying to read at night. We can make an experiment. Would you all like to make an experiment to find out why you got nearsighted? Okay, look at the E or something in the chart. Anything, look at that. Keep looking at it without blinking. Doesn't matter. Notice what happens to your visual system. It collapses, right? Yes. So that's what you're doing when you're reading. Right? How many hours have you spent like that? Or days, right? So it becomes habitual because you're doing it again and again and again. So you have actually developed the habit of straining your vision. William Bates, in his original work, had some interesting photographs of people taken, the photographs taken 5 years apart. Right? And you can see the strain in their visual system. In my own identity card, with glasses, there's really strain in my eyes. Right? So look at something, just get a marker. Then I will teach you how to do palming. So just rub your hands so they get nice and warm. And then you take the bottom part here of the palm, put it on your cheekbone, and then just sort of lift in. You may need to sort of curve your hands a little bit so that you block out all light. So you need to cross your hands a little bit like this, and further up, yes. Okay, so you block out all light. Okay, so I'll just time you for a minute, okay? Closed at this point, okay? You need to move your hands up so that you, if you look at me here, if you look at me like this. Space for your nose, otherwise you can't breathe. So you're blocking out all light. Okay, this is William Bates' exercise. This is the exercise that's most typically associated with him, and it relaxes your visual system. So we are about 35 seconds to the minute. Some of you might have, clouds of gray or even sparks of lights and stuff that goes on. This means that you are storing tension in your visual system. Okay, so there's about 7 seconds back. Okay, so if you very gradually take your hands down and look at the thing that you were looking at before, and notice if anything happened. Well, okay. Clearer? Okay. Good. Good. All right. 2 lines. Now this was just a minute.
Wow. I can see 2 lines.
Great. Okay. Wow, this is a great start. We're going to go places, huh? Okay, now one of the things that William Bates had found out also is that we have forgotten how black really is. You know that we're talking about submodalities here, but okay, so I happen to have a sample of perfect black here. So I will just have you distribute this. So take one, send it around. Just put it on your knee. So just send it over there. This would be more than enough. You just take one and send it down. Okay, so just look at that black. There's nothing that's really blacker than black velvet. If you're wearing black pants, then you will notice that the black velvet is even blacker. So I just want you to look at that and maybe sort of feel it. Feel the softness of the black. Thank you. For some people. Okay, thanks. You have one?
Oh, no.
This is yours.
Oh.
From me to you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so this time, remember how that black is. So we're going to do the palming again for 1 minute. So look at what it was that we're looking at to get the benchmark. So keep the velvet on your knee. So we do the palming again for another minute. This time, try to bring in this black color, as black as the velvet, either from the bottom, from the side, or from any angle. Okay, and then begin to connect it with your breathing. So breathe in very regular and exhale as slowly as you possibly can.
Shall I see open and closed?
Closed. So we'll just do this for 1 minute. So allow this black to come out from your hand, from the palm of your hand, and flow like a soft wind, a summer wind. Begin to flow into your eyes and spread relaxation. And just this blackness from side to side, relaxing the eyelids, the whole visual system, all the way in. And keep exhaling as slowly as you can. You can perhaps enhance that by thinking about some of the thoughts that you had when you wrote down what it would be like if you had perfect eyesight tomorrow morning. So if you like to just very gently begin to allow your hands to come down and readjust and look at what it was that you were looking at.
Oh my God.
What happened?
When I first took my hands away, I could see
Flash.
for a flash.
Mm-hmm. Great.
I could see like the six line down.
Wow, great, fantastic. You started at the first one.
I know.
Wonderful.
For a second.
Yeah, no, that's typical. So you get a flash. See, what's happening, we did it just for 1 minute, right, okay? We changed the submodality. I gave you a sample of that. So since you know about this stuff, okay? So the blackness is a metaphor for total relaxation. How many of you were able to get total black from side to side? A few, yes. So we need to get to a point where you can do that. So the palming is a very simple way. If you do this in the office, you might have to warn your office mate that you'll not receive bad news because you do this.
What causes an eye to see a double image of things? My right eye will see the letter, but it always has a shadow of the same letter.
Astigmatism. Can be caused by astigmatism. You're just talking about one eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Astigmatism can cause that. Okay. All right. So you need to remember to blink also. Blinking, okay, when you blink, it should be so that you're just lowering the lids. No, it's not winking, but blinking, just like that. So every time you do that, the eyes are getting just a fraction of a second relaxation. If you look at the eye chart, look at one letter, blink, and then look at the next letter, blink. Then you will notice that they begin to become sharper. Natural vision, people with natural vision need to remember to blink. People with natural vision, when they're looking at one letter, like the R here, for instance, then this becomes the sharpest, and the others become diffused. The white area in the R becomes brighter. That's an effect that has. So often we're under the impression that we have to see the whole line or the whole word. Right? So we are not using our visual system to the optimum when we're trying to do that. We should build up by letting the eye scan, seeing each letter, or even fractions of the letter, like the bar in the E or the H. And also you need to let your eyes scan, move around. Remember the story about the Indians? The Indians, Native Americans.
That's a very soft focus.
Yeah. Yes. We need to just allow it to relax and just to open up. Vision emanates from you, the energy emanates from you, go out and caresses the trees and come back with the image. So that's the thing we need to do. And then the clear vision comes back. Address astigmatism. There were quite a number of people who had astigmatism, so let's address that. Now there is an exercise which is sort of the industrial strength exercise for astigmatism. Okay. In your book on page 63, I think, there's the Tibetan wheel. Okay. So the way to use the Tibetan wheel is that you put your nose, there's a dot here, right, that's where your nose goes. All right, not on the paper, but about an inch and a half. So the way to do that, you will hold the paper like this, let your eyes move up as you inhale, around, look at the dots, and then as you exhale, go down. Do the little spikes also. Okay. So again, it's important that you connect the breathing. It's the aerobic principle, and if the muscles are tense, then just touch it. Okay, it's no heroics here. My insurance doesn't cover any busted eye muscles. Okay, so just touch it. Okay, and then go back. So we will do this clockwise. So the way to do this, again, it's you about an inch and a half away from the center. Then just let your eyes go up. It would not be possible to see it clearly. Doesn't matter. The purpose of this is to exercise the muscle. So the angle of the way we want the eyes to go is very severe. You're never doing this anyway. But this is in excess. So we are stretching the muscles much further than they normally would do. So when they relax, then they would be... The guiding principle here is that when you expand, you are never contracting to exactly the same size. Okay?
And go up one side and come down the other, you think?
Yes. You go up. You can take the steps, or just let your eyes go up. As you inhale, look at the dot, and then go down. Exhale very slowly. Do the little spikes also, and then around clockwise. Sorry? No, that's fine.
You don't want to go around just up and down.
This is up to you. You just let your eyes go up. Again, to get the dot.
Just to get the dot.
Yes. Whatever way you go there, make it so that you inhale as you go up, exhale as you go down. And exhale as slowly as it's possible for you. So I will play a little music here as we do that. Now, if people from the other class came in here, they will say, these people really have ways to go. I mean, looks deceives.
No wonder they're in here.
So just do this very slowly. When you have done the exercise, you can just do the palming and rest your eyes. Try to bring the black into your eyes. So when you do the palming, it should be so that if you open your eyes, there will be absolutely no light coming in. So just use the soft part of your hand. Yeah. And of course you should not touch the eyeball. When you're ready, just let your hands come down. Did you find that the angle, before you said this angle was difficult, how was it with this Tibetan wheel? Still difficult.
It was easier though, I think, when I went around 1.5 times.
Aha, the second time. Yeah. The Tibetan wheel, we just did half the exercise. This is the first time that you do this, so we have to, move slowly. We do this clockwise and counterclockwise. So when you do it counterclockwise, then often you will find that the tension is in different places. The one that clockwise may be, if this one here, this angle was difficult for you, counterclockwise it might be easier. So at the way that you're moving your muscles. So it's valuable to come from different approaches because we have to use muscles in different ways. So this exercise is purely for exercising the muscles. It has no spiritual connection. That doesn't matter. Whatever you see is fine. It's impossible for you to focus this close anyway, unless you have your visual field is collapsed. If you have a sort of -10 or high correction, maybe you're able to see it clearly. Also, when you're moving your eyes, the nose come in, in the way, or your cheeks, because we are moving the eyes in very extreme ways, and that's the value of this exercise. So those muscles, the recti muscles and the oblique muscles, really get a workout. So, any of you, did you find any yeah, Susie?
Is there a way to make it stop jumping? Like, I've been playing with this for a long time.
Yes.
Still, when I move in certain ways,
Uh-huh.
my eyes won't track smoothly. It jumps, and the dot moves over to a completely different
Okay.
place.
I think you might have a problem with fusion of the two images. We have not talked about that. We will talk about this tomorrow.
Because I notice it's much worse on this side
Yeah.
than it is over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
But the dot actually moves.
Yes,
Like that.
yeah,
It's completely different.
yeah. So that.
So it's not as smooth.
No, it should be, when you're able to do this, when you have natural vision, then you can easily move in all the directions. There's no tension in any particular direction. So that's the goal that you have. Okay, this is the secret to get rid of astigmatism. Okay? This is the key to eradicate astigmatism. So one of my dreams is that in a couple of years, we will be invited to the UN General Assembly, to get a scroll, in appreciation for having eradicated astigmatism in the world. So maybe you will be representative for the US.
How often do you want to do this?
You can do this maximum with 2 hours in between, 2 or 3 times a day. It's a very forceful exercise. If you're teaching it to somebody else, do this first. Right. That's the lead-in. You don't have to do this each time, but if you start teaching them that, then do this with the fingers. That's less strenuous. And then after this.
Just one time?
The one set is we have only done clockwise, so now in a moment we do counterclockwise. Right. Fasten your seatbelts and take off. So counterclockwise this time. Are you moving down lines?
I just read the whole night line
Great.
perfectly.
Great.
But then when I blinked, it went away.
So it comes. Just saying, hello, we can do that. Notice. Doing this exercise, a gentleman, Jacob Lieberman, he wrote a book also. He used this exercise primarily. He's mostly talking about things. He had a couple of people, the first measurement they had was 2,600. 6 hours later, the same person had 2,225. And 24 hours later, it was 2,025. So that's there was only this exercise that was done with that. So this exercise also enable you to improve myopia, not only astigmatism. Were you able to move down a couple of lines? Great. You are ahead of the game. It's the next exercise, people. Don't move anymore. So just let your eyes roam. 5-year-old eyes. Okay. Also, sometimes we store tension in our temple muscles. So if you try to sort of just touch the muscles here, do you store tension or just sort of, yeah, further back? Right. So ladies would mess up your hair. One of the things we can do is just put your fingers, open your fingers like that, and with some pressure, just sort of all the way back up to the center of the head, That sort of opens up and get blood circulating and releases the tension from the temple. So if you have very complicated hairstyle, this might not be what you want to do. Okay, another thing, we can just begin to move the head sort of forward and back to just loosen the neck muscles. Again, the whole body is influenced. And then continue make the movements more, so you begin to move forward and back. So you involve your spine. Right? So again, slowly. So. Next we begin to move the head sideways, just from side to side, just the neck, side to side. You can feel the muscles stretch out. And then begin to incorporate the shoulders as well. As we are moving over, just turn over. All right. Okay. So that begins to loosen up the muscles around the neck and shoulders and back. We make it in an angle, like this. It's kind of weird to do this, but it makes different muscles go. So. Let's do it in the other way, this way. That loosens up the whole system. Because natural eyesight is about being open and relaxed and effortlessly. For those of you who want to work with myopia, near sight, we begin to work with the eye charts here. So the way to work with these eye charts is to take any position that you want. Doesn't matter. You can be one lady in London. She started here, you know. And on Sunday afternoon, she was standing here and she had flashes of the 20/20 line, which is the second line from the bottom. So the objective of this exercise is simply to move down the chart. Okay, some of you have already been doing this. Okay, so the way to do this is that you look at the letters. So look at one letter, blink, and look at the next letter. Okay, so what happens, there's something interesting that happens is that suppose you can see the LVD. Okay, then you just do palming for a few seconds like that. So then you can see the letter immediately below. Okay? So when you just relax for a minute or so, then you can see the line immediately below. Look at the first letter, then the last letter on the line, the second, etc. So just move back and forth and look at just one letter and blink. Right. So you will find that there are flashes. So when you're looking at just one letter, you will find that this letter sort of stands out and becomes clearer. That's what we're after right now. So when you can see that, when you can recognize the letter, that's okay. It doesn't have to be razor sharp. Okay?
So you're just waiting until you can recognize another.
Yeah, then you can go down another line. Okay. You'll also find that as you're looking at it, maybe for some of you looking down your nose like that, it becomes clearer. Sometimes out of the side. Play around with that. Okay. Or sometimes like this, you know, looking over your glasses. Yeah. So the objective for you here is to find any chart anywhere in the room and begin to move away from that. In each of your manual there is a chart which I recommend that you put up on a bathroom or kitchen, or some have it on the refrigerator door. And then begin to move away from that. So in Hong Kong they have maids, so you have to instruct the maids not to remove those little markers you will put on the floor. But here I don't think you have maids, do you? Or there are very few of you who has. So again, that's a feedback to yourself. Suppose if you start your hair at the 1.5 meter line, so then you simply put a little marker on the floor with the date. Then you will find that, like one gentleman from the workshop recently in London, he sent me an email. Initially he had misunderstood, or he misunderstood, so he thought he'd only improved 3 inches. But in fact he'd improved 13 inches, which is a big difference. Right? So that gives you a feedback. Then you can begin to wonder about how many more days will it take to you before you get out to the... So you begin to get that progress. Okay? So do you understand what it is I want you to do? Have a go.
We're not wanting in the go, of course, just to get a 20/20, but so you want to start.
Just to get a couple of, any distance that you feel comfortable with. Okay. So of course, at the end, when you're beginning to see the bottom line, then you will have to get out to the 3 meter line, which is the last dot, basically the first row. Right. So meanwhile, it's just use one eye and the other eye. Right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Would you like to be the demonstration person? All right. Okay. So when you came in, where were you? Which line were you on? Do you remember?
2100.
2100. Okay, so you need to be somewhere around there, I think. Okay, just here on
Okay.
this dot there. Okay, so which chart do you find most comfortable?
The
for you?
black one.
The black one. Okay. So right now, what is the lowest line that you can see?
HON.
HON.
No, down.
This one. Oh wow, this is 2060. Yeah. Okay. So the next line you can't see that.
I can make out some letters, yes.
Okay. So if you just do a little palming, try to make it as black as you possibly can, just for a couple of seconds, 30 seconds. So when you do that, then you will notice that you're able to move down one more line. So doing this game, you can move down a couple of lines each time. So what's happening here is that your visual system is beginning to sort of fall into the way to be in order to get focus. So it's a game that we're playing. Okay, Lynn, so if you just, so look at the line below. No?
Yeah.
So this one?
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah.
It's about opening up. You know, if you take a deep breath and just let yourself open up.
Okay. Okay.
That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay?
Did you say that you do just one eye at a time?
You can do it with both eyes also. Some of you have one eye that needs more training than the other. Okay, but right now the objective for you is to move down as many lines as you can. So just experiment with and if you have gone down a couple of lines, and try to find out where the two eyes, if there are differences, left and right eye. Oh, the chart. 3 lines. Uh-huh. The second from the bottom. No, that's okay.
It found that,
The second from the bottom is 2020.
Yeah, I found that if I went from chart to chart, sort of from where I was,
Yeah.
it looked oversized.
Uh-huh.
Then I'd go back to that one, and
Yeah.
then I could get a varying letters. And the last time I did it, I was able to get the whole row.
Good. That's 2020.
But remembering to blink in between each one.
Yeah.
That was, if I didn't blink,
Yeah.
it was impossible
Yes,
to take
yes. That's one of the things that are important. It's very important, I'm sure you begin to realize that now, that you need to move your eyes around. Because if you're keeping your gaze steady, in this culture, you are trained to look into a person's eyes, you know. So sometimes you meet people who actually sort of have dead eyes, I mean, they don't blink or anything like that. They've trained themselves to do this because they think that this is socially advantageous, you know. But in fact, in terms of eyesight, it is not a good thing to do. So one of the things that you need to do is swinging. Okay, that's another Bates idea, which has to do with getting sharpness. Would you be interested in learning how to get sharpness, by any chance? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that happens is the central point where we have absolute clear vision needs to move. Okay. So there's micro movements in the eyes, even if you're looking straight. If I'm looking straight, you know, then my eyes are vibrating a little bit. So, but we need to alter that, because if we are not moving the central fovea point, then it loses its clarity. There were studies done where they fixed on a contact lens an image, and in a few seconds, the person couldn't see the image anymore because it didn't move. In other words, the image moved at the same rate as at the eyeball. So movement is essential for vision, and that's one of the key points in learning to have natural vision. So your eyes need to move around. So if you look at the eye chart here, take, say, the E. Look at the left and look at the right. Look at the bottom and down. Right. So when you're looking at that, you can see just the center bar, and you can also see the black. You have a white or yellow or whatever. So that's the negative of that. So this is when you look at the line that you have maximum visual acuity on, then the bar on the E is the absolute minimum clarity that you have. In terms of degrees, this is 1 degree. Your visual acuity is maximum at 1 degree. That's the smallest you can see. So what happens if you are just moving your head? So I'll just demonstrate. So if you're moving your head and just let your eyes go like this, just move back without seeing anything, and then you just let your eyes go out and find a line on the chart. Then so just close your eyes and open up. So you need to do the swinging with your eyes open, horizontally like this. You want your eyes open, yes. Then just moving, so you can actually look at the beginning left and the last left. Just let your eyes sort of scan, or you can imagine that you have sort of a giant feather, and you're just sort of touching. And then just blink, and then let your eyes find 1 letter on the line. It's not. No. So that brings sharpness. Now, when you're looking at a person, you can do the same thing. You can look at the left side of the eye, or the left side and right side of the pupil. Right, so that the person will not notice. You know?
Now, when you're swinging, you're not moving your
You can
shoulders. You're going back and forth this way.
swinging.
In a straight line.
Yeah, horizontally across. You can do this with your body also. You know, like this big swings because when you're doing it with big swings like this, then you are simply losing the visual thing. So then you relax your eyes. You can also just move your head, you know, like you're talking like this, or you can just move your eyes. So moving your body is a way of learning, but it has to be horizontal. For children with strabismus, that's an important exercise. So they do it sort of like the elephant swinging its nose. You know, like this. Because when you do that, then you're relaxing your visual system. That's the key. Introduce another thing. We need to use all those strings here. We have 2 eyes, and as you remember we talked about yesterday, the image from half of the image from the left eye go to the right side, and half of the left image half of the right image go to the left side. So it crosses right down the middle. And this is then combined inside the visual cortex at the back of the brain to become a 3D image. Sometimes those images are not registered, like prints in a magazine, a color print, where one color is out of alignment, so it becomes blurry. So the same thing happens in our vision. So there's a very simple exercise which involves these strings here, which I can just begin to give them out as I explain. Maybe you can just... So everybody needs one. There's several versions of this. Okay. So they're thick and thin, whatever. Deluxe. Doesn't really matter what it is. We're all tangled up here. So we need at least 1 paper clip. I don't know how many paper clips I have. So why don't we just start with 1 paper clip each?
You've got one.
1 paper clip, yeah.
Oh, do we?
No, just one. Just one. I have different fashions here.
Does anybody not have one? Because I have one that I have.
Okay, so let me demonstrate what we have to do. There are 2 things we will use the string for. One is for checking the fusion of the left and the right image. And another one, the string is very good for training one eye. You know, those of you who need to train one eye for near and medium distance. So first we'll just talk about the fusion. So Judith, if you would just be my string person. Stringer. You know what a stringer is? a stringer in TV parlance. That's a freelance person that sometimes shoot videos of disasters, fires, and stuff like that. Okay, so to check out your fusion, you take the string, put it on the tip of your nose, look down the string, so you can use the paper clip and put it somewhere out there. So if you look at the paper clip, there should be a phantom cross. Okay. The two string will sort of become a cross. So wherever you look if you look very close and very far, then the cross, the center of the cross would be where your attention is. If you have tram lines, then we need to work on it. Okay, so let me make a drawing. So you can tie the string to a chair or something like that. Okay. Well, that's when you have difficulty pulling. And just tie it to the chair. Actually, what I think you can do, you can just pull it down, press it down here between the seat and the...
I'm not sure what the...
Okay. No, this... Okay. So when you're looking down the string would appear to have a cross. So if you put the paper clip here, whatever you look at, that's where the center of the cross is. Okay. If you have it this way here, like two straight lines, that means that you are not able to fuse the two images. And some of you, this might be part of your vision problem. So for some people, you can make the fusion to a certain place. After that, it becomes tram lines. Okay?
It becomes two out there.
Okay, where does it become two?
Woo!
Here?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's part of your problem. Okay, so here, so this is where the paper clip is, and that's where it becomes two?
Well, now it's across.
Okay, yeah, all right, so we need to move it back. So move your eyes from here, just along the string, in and out. Like that, very lazily.
She says she gets one line after the place with the cross.
One line?
Yeah, I see two lines.
Yeah, crossing.
And then they cross or merge here.
Okay, so what you need to do is you need to continue to move the cross out, back and forth.
Okay.
So any normal vision, you will have a cross. Even if you look there will be just a tiny legs and a cross.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I want to do. Is
Yeah.
the cross all the way
So you
down.
want to see that all the way. Wherever you look, there should be a cross. Here you have one eye that needs more training than the other. So the string is very good for that. So the way to do this is you just take, can I borrow the string? Sure. So you just, if you want, so for instance, my right eye, I want to train that. Then I will close my left eye, and then I will just put the string under the eye, let the eye go out. You will, of course, only see one string, okay? So that trains the focusing of the near and the far and the medium, right? So if you have one eye that needs to be more training, this is a very good exercise to do. Right?
How do you know if you have one eye that needs to be more trained?
You check with the chart, for instance.
Okay.
So if one eye is 3 lines further down than the other, if you want to be really sort of, excuse me, thorough about this, you can find out what your close vision is for each eye, put a marker on, and what is the extent of your clear vision, put a marker on, so then you can see your progress. Or you can tie a knot on it if you want. Right? So then you find out what is the extent of my visual field. So then you can monitor the growth as you push it out. Right? By this tradition, you have the meridians, which is a network of channels where this energy flows through. Right? And acupuncture works on that. You put needle points in. Acupressure works on pressing these points. So around the eyes, there are a number of acupressure points or acupuncture points, which will, when we use them, we begin to get energy flowing. The principle of acupuncture is that we have a blockage for some reason or another, then we have to move the needles and get the energy, the chi, to flow through. So when we have the chi flowing through, we have a healthy body. It's a balanced situation. So right now, we're talking about the visual system here, so we want the energy to keep flowing through the eyes in the right way. So we use the thumbs, and just next to the nose, up under the bone, and some of you would feel when you press, put gentle pressure on and just move around, you might feel that this connects to one or both of the eyes, yes. If the ladies have long nails, then do something else. Okay, so just massage that. Just gentle pressure. Do you feel, does it connect with your eyes? The bone, underneath the bone. Right. Okay, the next one is where the glasses rest on the bridge of the nose. That's a very common one. You know, if you wear glasses and you're tired, then you do that sort of naturally. It's on the root of the nose, yeah. Up high. Okay. The third one is on the cheekbone here. It's about the same level as your nostrils, depending on how your cheekbone structure is. So use 2 or 3 fingers, then you'll hit it in one way or another. So just turn that around. And for some people, that feels very tender. It needs to be lower, where the bone is. Yeah, your cheekbones are not that high. Okay. Right. So the next one is we use this part of the finger. This part of the finger, yeah. So this part. And then again, bend the finger so that you don't stick your fingers in your eyes. And then just from the center and out. Again, the bone, and put an angle, so 45-degree angle, so you're pressing slightly up and out. Okay, so there are a number of acupuncture points that you will be addressing there. So this part here. Right. Okay, the last one is on the bottom part of the thing, from down here, just the bone again, all the way around and up. Now, the ladies would say, well, this causes wrinkles. So you just press several points, no? You don't have to stretch the skin, but just, yeah, like that. So for some of you, there again will be points there that are particularly sensitive, right? Yeah. So Susie, for you, it would be underneath here and up there? Yeah. So that's the blockage. Yeah. So it differs. So what it needs to be, eventually it needs to be so that it's comfortable for you. So when you're doing that, how do you feel in your eyes? Do you feel it relaxed? Yeah. Right. So this is an alternative to the, yeah. This is an alternative to the palming. And it's much more ecological in the office. Because if you're sitting like that, and, oh, his grandmother died again, you know. You know? So if you're doing this is much more socially acceptable. So what this exercise does, it gets the energy flowing in your visual system. Okay?
It feels similar to, like, have you ever taken a tea bag and rested on that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, right. Or cucumbers,
yeah.
Or something like that, yes, yeah. Right. So it simply opens up. So this is the beginning to begin to work with energy. So we begin to get into the whole field of energy work. Okay. This particular school of energy work is coming from the Hindu tradition and from the Chinese Qigong tradition. And it's developed by a man called Choa Kok Soi. He's a Chinese gentleman who lives in the Philippines. He's a chemical engineer. Spent about 20 years developing this system. He published a book in, I think, 1986 or something like that. I met him in before he published the book. I lived in the Philippines at that time. The system is very nice. It's very attractive in the sense that it is developed by observing the energy field around people. He had friends who could actually see the energy constellation. So if you had somebody with a stomach ache, for instance, then he would say, oh, there's some yellow stuff. Okay, what if we sweep that away? What happens? So the stomach ache goes away. So the principle is cleaning and energizing, basically. Cleaning and energizing. Cleaning and what? Energizing. You clean away the old energy, and then you energize with fresh energy. So in terms of vision, we have old energy. The energy in the visual system does not quite flow. Right now your eyes are sort of beginning to be a little bit tired. We have been working with them quite a lot. So we need to do something nice for them. Okay. But first you need to learn to sense this energy. All right. So energy is surrounding all living things. Trees, people, dogs, cats, cattle, anything that's living has an energy field around it. Some people can see it and everybody can feel it. So right now I'm going to teach you, if you want to, how to feel that. Okay? So the way that the pranic healing teaches that is to simply touch the center of your palm like this and the fingertips. This activates your healing hands. And then shake. Just shake like if you are shaking your fingers off, as much as possible. Right. Okay, then take your left hand. So you need to move around. You can sense each other. So you can sense me. I took a shower this morning, so it's okay. So put your attention in the left hand and then begin to move closer towards me. You'll feel that there are different fields. Okay? So as you come closer, you can feel. Right? So you need to move around and you can feel each other also. So try it and find out you can move around a bit and find out if there's a difference between the left side and the right side, the front and the back of the person. So just put your awareness in your hand. So there's a feel there. So the feel feels either as pressure or as tingling or heat or cold or... You follow thought. That's the key principle here. So whatever you direct your energy to go, it will go. But the intention you have, the energy will follow that. Okay. So now we can use the two fingers. You could feel the energy field of somebody else. So we can be more sort of sharpen our tools, sharpen our pencils, just using two fingers. Okay. So what I would like you to do is to just activate your hands again, and then with two fingers, then just find out. Okay. So I want to sense the energy level in my eyes. Okay, so just use two fingers like this and then just move them in and out until you find where the energy field is. So do this with yourself first, just briefly. Just get the sensation of that and then turn to the person next to you and feel what the energy level in the eyes of the person next to you do. Just do it very briefly, otherwise you energize the eyes. Okay. So you have a sensation of something. So that's fine, that's just a feedback. Then turn to Susie, and Susie will feel your eyes, and you can feel Susie's eyes, so that you don't need to activate your hands in between.
Oh, okay.
So just get an idea of how somebody else's eyes feel. So we have an idea of what it is before we start doing any work. Okay. This measurement gives you a feedback of where we are. So now we start doing some work with the eyes. Okay. So to energize or to clean the eyes. Okay. We will do the same thing again. So there's a point between the eyebrows here. This is the energy center between the eyebrows. We will work through that. That energy center is responsible for the whole visual field. Okay. So energizing eyes is always the point between the eyebrows is responsible for the whole visual system. So we're working through that. We are never energizing the eyes directly. We do that through the back of the head. Like in profile, it's sort of like this. Right, comes out like this. Okay, you have already learned how to measure this. You didn't know that. So the way to do this, if I'm going to measure, if I'm going to find out where your forehead that comes here. Okay, so if I want to measure the diameter, that's it. So it comes out like this to this. Right. So Sushi, she has more willpower. It's out here. But this diameter. So that's how to measure the diameter of the chakras and the distance. Okay? So let's activate the hands again. And now we will begin to project energy in through that energy center. The energy color we will be using is apple green. Green apples all the way to Minneapolis. Okay, so just form your fingers like this, and then project, imagine that you have apple green energy coming out to your fingertips, going into that point between the eyebrows. Find a position in relationship with your forehead and the fingers where you feel that this is most efficient. So just play around with that a little bit. Maybe it's not touching, but just try to find out. Some people can actually see the color, others have a feeling, or you can maybe feel a prickling or whatever. So just imagine this apple green color coming out through your hand and into the eyes, spread out to the left and the right eye, and fill the entire socket with apple green. The purpose of the apple green is to loosen up the energy that's stagnant there. Okay, now change the color to pale yellow. Just pale yellow. So as a matter of having something to count, so the green is about 6 or 7 cycles of breathing. The yellow is 2. So if you just let your hands go down. Okay. So we have now energized, we have now added green color, which has the quality of cleaning. It's like green soap. Right. So now we need to clean the windows. We have sprayed the detergent on the windows. So now we need to clean them. The way we do that is that we imagine that we have incredibly long extensions of the fingers, about like this. Sort of whitish blue energy coming out of the fingers up to here. Right. Some of you might actually be able to see this. Okay, so what we do is you clean this center first. So when you're doing this with somebody else, you go counterclockwise. So you go like this. Right. So you start in a big circle, go in like that. So when you're doing it on yourself, you go the other direction. So you just do this once or twice. So if I'm doing this on myself, I will do this like this. So I imagine it like my fingers here are sort of like candy floss. You're sort of just picking it up. And then you just throw it on the floor. In a big circle and go in. Yeah.
So I'm going clockwise?
Yes, on yourself.
Clockwise?
Yeah. Yeah, and then go in. Yeah, do it slowly. Okay. So I will put some green energy on the floor, so all the stuff that you throw there would be,
What color is this going to be?
white, bluish white. So you're just taking this stuff out. Okay, so just do this once or twice. This part is not, no. This is a refinement. This is master material. Master material. Especially for you. Okay.
I did it 4 or 5 times before I did it twice. I got a headache.
Okay. Yeah. So the next thing we do is that we will clean the eyes. So again with extensions. So clean just this part here. To be very systemic about it. The inner corners next to the nose. Then the middle of the eye. And the corners of the eye. Okay. And then just go free flowing. So just let the extension of your fingers go into the eye and sort of scoop out this stuff and throw it down. You can do it in any direction and you can use both hands. When you do this in the right way, you will actually be scooping out any tiredness that you have in your eyes. So what happened? Yes. This is what you're waiting for the whole day. This is important. We need to do the cleaning very thoroughly, because this is the first time that you do this. So just continue to do the cleaning. There is an energy center in the middle of the eyes. There's also an energy center here in each temple. So if you want to be thorough about it, you can just sort of put a little apple green on the temples here and then clean this out. If you have one eye that needs more work than another, then you will incorporate that.
What's the purpose of the yellow?
The purpose of the yellow is to get the particles that the green has loosened to stick together. The yellow has sort of a sticky effect, so you can easier get it out. Okay.
So the green loosens it, the yellow sticks together.
Yeah, so if you imagine that there's all this stuff in there, so then the green is sort of breaking it down into particles, tiny particles, and then the yellow sort of is like a glue that makes it all stuff that we can get out. Many people perceive this as sort of grayish matter that you pull out of the eyes. Yeah?
2 times for the cleaning and 1 for the
Energizing.
energizing.
Energy comes out of the finger. We have energy centers in the fingertips.
Does it have to be the right one?
No? So when you're doing that, then your whole visual system feels very released and very comfortable. Okay? So the next thing, this is the first part. This is the cleaning part. So now we come to the energizing part. Okay. So we do the same thing again, yeah. But this time we use violet, a sort of a like lavender color, like lilac, again into the point between the eyebrows. You don't need to activate your hands; they're already in business. Okay, so just have that color come out through your fingertips, stream into that point between the eyebrows, and fill the eye sockets with lavender, light pastel color violet. That energizes the visual system. Again, the count there is 6 or 7 cycles of breathing. Okay. Again, find the position where you perceive that this is most effective. And you can use a crystal for this also. We'll talk about the crystals later. Okay. So just let your hands go down. Now, in order to stabilize, right now you have sort of a cloud of energy in front of your eyes. Right? So we need to stabilize that, and we do that with blue color. So it's like painting. So the energy is out here. We just sort of paint sky blue. So that stabilizes the energy. It makes it stay. Because otherwise, when you turn your head, it blows away. That's like cigarette smoke, if you like. Okay? So if somebody came in now and looked at their class, they will just open the door and close it again. So they're gone totally loony. I say to people when they do this exercise in the office, no, just they're mosquitoes here. Mosquitoes. There's so many mosquitoes in this office. So the last part of this is at the back of the head, there's an energy center at the same level of the eyes. You can just sort of clean it a little bit and then project white energy into that. So it goes into the back of the head, that's where the visual cortex is, and separate into 2 streams that goes into the optic nerve and go into the eyeball, energizes the retina, the muscles around the eye, the ciliary muscles, the lens, the whole eyeball, the cornea. So it's further down. It's at the same level. It's at the same level of the eyes. Yeah, at the back.
So what is, you put any outfits about
No, just sort of clean. No,
clean with blue,
no,
the violet?
green.
Oh, green, or green.
Yeah. Just sort of sweep it. Make it simple. Just sweep it, and then the white. So let your intuition or the tiredness of your arm guide you. Okay. So when you're finished, you then just close with blue. Yes, that's important, otherwise it leaks out.
In the back,
Yes, that's the last step always.
Let's talk a little bit about presbyopia. Presbyopia is when we have, usually when we get to about 40, 45, the muscles are not as flexible as they used to be. So what you're experiencing is that your arms are not long enough, right? So you have to ask your husband to hold the menu up so you can read what it is, right? So the way I think about that is that as an 18-year-old, your muscle range is this far. Okay, so as you get 40, maybe you're losing part of that range, all your muscles, including your eye muscles, right? So what we need to do is we need to simply get an extra range into the muscles and then the side. It's an exercise in the book which I got from Lisette Scroll's book, Visutronics, I think it is. It's progressively lower and lower, or in a smaller and smaller print. It's on page 42 and 43. So even if you don't have presbyopia, we'll just go through the exercise so then you can help other people who might have that. All right, so it's worthwhile for you to do this. So on page 42, you have large print. Okay, so can everybody read the top line on 43? That's 11 points. Should be able
How far
to.
away are you supposed to be?
Any
Doesn't
distance.
matter.
Any distance. Okay, so the way to do this exercise, it's an exercise in changing submodalities, really. So we turn the page upside down. All right, and then we look at the white between the lines. Your eyes glide, on the white, and make that white brighter than the margins. So just let your eyes glide, through the lines. This exercise is easier to do if it's done in daylight, like we did yesterday. So when you get to the bottom of the page, then turn it right side up and check how many paragraphs. Just check the first line or the first few words, and then go down.
No, we are.
I had it upside down. Mom's read upside down, and right away I saw pickles.
Yes.
It used to be you.
Yes. Upside down.
What are you wanting us to do when we turn right side up?
Read all the way to the small one. Just the first few words. So can you read the first one? I mean, this bottom one?
Oh, we're in the second page.
Congratulations.
No, we're in the same page. Yeah, I can read the font.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, if you have near sight, it's not a problem. Yeah. Okay. So in order for you to maintain your perfect eyesight for the rest of your life, would you be interested to know what to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So you need to read small print like that, 4 or 3 points. This one is 4 points.
4 points to the bottom line.
The bottom line. So in order for you to exercise your low vision, the rods, the peripheral vision, read this in just with one candle. One candle is just about enough light for you to read. Right. So don't read War and Peace in that light. But photocopy something that you really would like to read, an anchor point article, for instance, or something like that. Okay? And then read the reduced copy.
Does that mean every anchor point they'll be?
So from now on, anchor point, they will save a lot of paper,
That's right.
just a quarter of the size.
What point is this considered?
4.
4 points?
The reason that this is so good for your eyes is that when you are reading the very small print, you are using your central fixation. Right? So then you're using your eyes in the most optimum way, and you're relaxing your visual system. So that's very important to continue to do that. Now, there are many, many opportunities during the day, especially when you go to the supermarket. So just look at the content.
Can you read it?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Oh, okay.
So another thing that you can do for presbyopia is that initially it would be out here. Okay, so we need to be able to read it here comfortably, and then as close as you possibly can get it. So you can get it. So you begin to get it here when it's clear. Then you move it a little bit further, so it fusses up. Move it back and forth. So you're sort of massaging it to come in, sort of rocking it. So you'll want to have this as close as possible, and simply using this exercise with people who are beginning to need reading glasses will bring them back. People who have needed reading glasses for a while would need to practice that. So first do it in daylight, it's easier, and then do it in dimmer and dimmer light. If you do it with fluorescent light, that's difficult. Right. So all work in fluorescent light is difficult. So if you work in fluorescent light environment, then get incandescent lights to compensate. Because what's happening with fluorescent light is that it's flickering. So your iris is constantly trying to adjust. So it's perpetually in stress. Right. So it never settles, and that strains the eyes.
So
Yeah.
you're saying if you add a desk lamp
Mhm.
like this, that helps?
Yeah, it evens it out. Let's continue to work a little bit more on presbyopia, if you like. There is this double circle exercise. This exercise is training the muscles that you need to move your eyes in It's exercising the muscles that you need for looking at when you're reading. Your eyes need to move slightly in to focus. Okay? So what we do is, like the magic pictures, you put it in like this, and then you get a third one, then you move it out so you can see it clearly, so it becomes three-dimensional, and you can see the seeing that sort of one word above the other. One line above the other.
So you see 2 lines of
Yes.
not just one.
Two. Yeah.
But they go together.
No.
We're doing the images merge.
Yes. You have the two pictures come together. There's a third pie, sort of like a wedding cake. It becomes three-dimensional. All right. You get one line of the word seeing above each other. The word seeing. So. Seeing. Yeah. So
There
they
could be one that says right, one that says left. and one that
Yeah,
says
sometimes the R and L goes behind.
You see need to be seen clearly.
Yes.
in all 3 circles.
We were
No.
close.
Okay, so you start out like this, and then you move it out, and then you need to relax your eyes so that you can maintain the three-dimensional circles in the middle. So you get it out to reading distance.
Are there 2 C's in the middle or only one? For both pieces?
See, yes. Yeah. Sometimes turning the page a little bit does the trick. Okay. All seeing double. Yeah, okay. Here we are.
Ideally.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
what would be ideal?
So we have seeing here.
In the middle.
Okay, in the middle. And then we have the 2 other circles here. Right.
Are the others,
This
the
one,
circle in the middle of the outside circle?
that's 3D. The circle in the middle is the one you're looking at, and that's three-dimensional. Right. So the R and the L sort of floats behind. When I introduced this exercise in Taiwan, there was a lady, a lawyer. She was sharing with us that after doing this exercise, then she was looking down and there was a book she wanted to buy or was thinking about buying. So she was looking at it, and then the text was crystal clear. So then, as she was saying that, everybody sort of took the page up and did it again. So this is a version of the string exercise, but for reading distance. So that's important for people with presbyopia. Right. Let's spend a little time now looking at each particular problem that we have, or you had. Some of you don't have it anymore. Okay, so let's start with astigmatism. Okay, so the exercises that is needed for astigmatism. You're an expert on astigmatism. So primarily the Tibetan wheel. If you're teaching somebody this for the first time, do the thing with the fingers first. That's simply a sort of a preliminary exercise, because it is possible for you to strain the muscles. Okay. Okay to do this if you have myopia, also because you want to have your muscles working. If you have farsight. Farsight is because the recti muscles, the 4 muscles, is tight. They pull the eyeball back. So you want to exercise that as well. Okay? So that's for astigmatism, the fingers, the Tibetan wheel, and palming. Okay, so let's go to presbyopia, reading glasses. The primary exercise for reading glasses, apart from palming, the one that I found personally that is most effective is the exercise that I got from Lisette Scroll, her book Visutronics, which is progressively smaller and smaller print. So the way to do that is to find out, so just calibrate, can you read the big print there? If you can't do that, if you can read the headline, sometimes I worked with a gentleman in Brussels. Without his glasses, he could not even read the headline. So that's okay. Just turn the page upside down, whether you can see it or not. No, then just let your eyes glide under the words on the white space. Pay attention to the white space between the words. Imagine that to be whiter than the margins. So we are changing the submodality here. Some people discover that the background of the page is actually gray. One lady had pink dots on it. So, okay, so just let the eye sort of glide down, all the way down to the bottom. Turn the page right side up, and then check if you can read it. So in many cases, you can then read the beginning. In some cases, you need to do this a couple of times. Do it in daylight, if possible. That is easier. Right? So on page 43, the text is progressively smaller. The first paragraph is 11 point, 10, 9, 8, and 4. So the idea here is that we are training the eyes to be able to read 4 points comfortably in full light. And the next step is to train the eyes to read 4 points in very low light. And all different kinds of lights that you are exposed to, like fluorescent lights, kitchen lights, bedroom lights, bathroom lights, whatever. Yeah, when you have achieved that, then you are entitled to a glass of wine at least.
I read that. At least I get to say it right.
Yes.
It's in that little paragraph.
Oh, it is? I just small print.
Okay. So basically, that's what addresses presbyopia, needing reading glasses. Okay. Okay, let's talk about myopia. Right. So those of you who have both presbyopia and myopia, the first milestone for you would be to get your reading distance. That would be point number one. Work on that first. Because if you can do that, that means that you can be without glasses for most of the time. Right. When you can comfortably function in desk work without glasses. Okay, so because the whole idea is to use the glasses as little as possible. When you put glasses on, you are freezing your vision. Okay? If you wear your glasses constantly, it's a frozen situation. And on top of that, if your glasses are corrected for far sight and you use them for seeing near, then you are perpetuating the situation. It gets worse and worse. So consequently, every year you need to, or every couple of years, you need progressively stronger and stronger lenses. I don't know where the limits are, but I think it depends on the density of the glass. But when you get about 10, 11, 12, then it becomes like Coke bottles. I know people who have been wearing glasses and contact lenses. So it's about reversing that. Okay, if you have very high correction lenses, contact lenses or glasses, okay, do the exercises that we'll just identify later. But principally the pranic healing. The pranic healing is the fuel in the rocket for myopia, especially the severe ones. Especially the ones that are minus 10, 9, high numbers. The exercises for myopia is principally the pranic healing. Okay, the string with one eye. If you have one eye that is more, that needs more work than the other, then favor that. So the string is good for training the focusing of just one eye. So bring that out to about 1 meter or something like that. Then use the chart. So the second thing with the myopia is the chart, especially when you get down to the lower lines. Right? Then move away. To get clarity in myopia, you need to do the swinging and keep your eyes moving all the time. Even when you're writing or reading, look at just individual letters and just let your eyes roam. So that are the primary things that you need for myopia. Myopia is if it's sort of 2 or 3 diopters. If you do these exercises, then it takes maybe a week or 2 to overcome that. So the first thing for you to do is to try to function without glasses as a general rule. Okay. If you have to wear glasses, then get them lower prescription. But when you get down to the lower grade here, so simply don't wear them. Keep them in the pocket if you have to drive. If you're driving in familiar areas, keep them on the dashboard. I would like to thank you all for being such great students. It's a wonderful thing to... It's a wonderful thing to be able to do this without translation. It's something which I'm very passionate about, and I hope that some of this passion have been transferred to you.